Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to an edition of the podcast. Today we're going to share with you a deeply, deeply moving story from Scott Thomas. Scott's one of the fathers. His son was killed in the Humboldt truck bus tragedy years ago, the one that started Melt, and he was recently at a PTAC conference that I was at, so we'll tell you all about that. Before we get to that, let me tell you a little bit about Bison Transport. They've got a lot of positions available for those of you in either Calgary, Winnipeg, or Mississauga. I was just recently talking with the Shermanator, and they're really looking for people who are dedicated and really want to be working for a good fleet. They pay all the time, on time. There's a lot of problems with people not getting paid in the industries because they don't work with the Driver Inc. model, and Bison is way above that. So if you're looking for a fleet that actually cares about you, has a balance of home time and on-the-road time, then you want to check out bisondriving.com for all the opportunities. Make sure you tell them that the Lead Pedal Podcast sent you. All right, let's get on with it.
They're just hilarious. Great show. Good show. My favorite show.
Be sure to share the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
Thank you for tuning into
The Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
And now your host.
All right. So I was recently at the PTAC conference, the Professional Truck Training Alliance of Canada. They had their first annual conference out in Calgary, Alberta. And of course, it was out that way that the Humboldt truck bus accident happened that started Melt. If you remember when there was the driver, he blew some stop signs, only had about 2 weeks under his belt. He was hauling a set of B trains with, it was flatbed B trains. And he did a whole bunch of things wrong, blew through that stop sign, hit a bus, a hockey team that was going to a tournament, killed 16 people on that bus. Scott Thomas, his son, was one of them. And PTAC had him out to talk to the group because it's a training conference about training, about his experience with truck drivers and that accident and grieving for his son. This was a very, very emotional part of the conference. There was not a dry eye in the house when he was speaking, and I actually had a chance to interview Scott afterwards about what happened. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play not the whole thing. I'm going to play a portion of the. Him and Earl Diedrich, I think his name is how I pronounce his name. Earl. We got together. They had one of the Humboldt shirts on display for to raise money in the silent auction. Earl was interviewing Scott about things going on in training, about what happened at the bus crash, all those kind of things, and it was very, very emotional. It was a great presentation, and it was great to have hands-on, what happened at the event, not the news, but someone who's actually there. It took a lot of people. It was hard to get them to even get through this. So we're going to play a little bit about this, and then we'll play a little bit about the interview I did with Scott. But let's start off with some of the discussion they had on the panel for the Humboldt accident there. Before we do that, let's talk about a place that can help you make sure that your compliance is doing what it should be. That's our friends over at Compliance Mentors. The best way to start is to start with an audit process. This way you know whether your fleet is doing things properly or if they're doing things way off the mark. And Compliance Mentors, they have people all across the country, Mississauga, Brampton, Calgary, BC. You know what? Get them out there. Get them to work with all of your terminals. Make sure all your company's on the same page so we don't have issues like the Humboldt tragedy. All right? You can go to compliancementors.com. Mentors with a Z, mentorz.com is how you get to them, and they can help you out from there. Make sure you tell them that we sent you. All right, let's get on to that discussion panel with Earl and Scott from PTAC Calgary 2025.
So as we get seated, just wanted to give a quick shout out to the Hyatt Place Calgary Airport. If everyone could give them a round of applause, please. It's been a great morning so far. Thank you very much. Thank you to all our sponsors. It was great to see everyone at the silent auction as well. So as we get finding our seats, I'm very excited to bring up a good friend of mine, Mr. Earl, one of the founding members of PTAC, who is our next session sponsor. So Earl, if you would like to come say a few words, please. Big round of applause for Earl.
Hello. My first classroom I had to teach, I forget if it was PDIC or Dangerous Goods, my mentor, he said, when you get nervous, plug in a VHS or whatever they are. I said my name, and I was done. I plugged it in, and as I look up here, I don't see a VCR recorder here, so I'm kind of screwed. Anyhow, thank you very much on behalf of PTAC, Professional Truck Training Alliance of Canada. It's just under 3 years, just over 2 years that we've been in working with everybody, and everybody in the room, you guys deserve a great round of applause for being here and supporting us. Our main goal is obviously Red Seal support, and we can't do that without national instructor certification. As you guys were speaking earlier, it has to be nationwide. Removing barriers for funding. I know in Saskatchewan we have zero funding right now, and I think there's a couple other provinces that are in the same boat. And obviously provincial oversight, provincial and national oversight of the whole truck training industry. And it sounds like, you know, we're slowly making some progress, and thanks for being here, and there you go.
I would have found a VCR for you too, brother. So, let's find my notes, I apologize. Okay, so this session, forewarning, it's a very tough topic. It's a very real topic. Very excited to have Scott and Earl with this fireside chat. But just setting the stage that there could be an emotional trigger, and that's okay. That's good. But if you do need to leave the room, we respect it. We understand. One of the biggest things, there is some Kleenex on the table if needed as well. We have some up front. But yeah, very, very grateful for this opportunity. So this session is, Has Humboldt Been Forgotten? So a fireside chat with PTAC founding member Earl, as well as Scott Thomas. So Earl has been involved in the trucking industry for nearly 35 years. In 2001, he opened Maximum Training for the trucking industry with a mission to help provide quality drivers in our ever-growing industry. As a founding member of PTAC, he is dedicated to help better our industry. So a big round of applause for Earl, please. And before I introduce Scott, I asked everyone to stand, please. Having Scott here, it means a lot. It means a lot to all of us. Very grateful for this opportunity for my journey too, so thank you, Scott. So Scott lost his son, Evan, in the Humboldt Broncos bus accident in 2018. He'll be turning 26 this year. He's been an advocate for a healthier trucking industry and safer roads ever since. Sorry. So his passion for helping others is foundational in his work as a chiropractor, governor of the Saskatoon U18 AAA Blazers, a scout for the Edmonton Oil Kings, and throughout his family. His daughter, Jordan, is naturally following in his footsteps to become a chiropractor too, which is amazing. So the session comes with a disclaimer, like I said. It is going to be emotionally triggering to some, and that's okay. If you do need to take a break, please, we understand. And please, let's give a warm round of applause for Scott Thomas.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for the opportunity. I'll take any chance I can to talk about my son Evan, and of course any chance I can too to work for a common goal of making our roads safer. I also want to say thank you for including my son Evan's Memorial Trust in your charitable endeavors. One of the things we do several things through Evan's Trust. We have 4 different scholarships in the Saskatoon area that we fund, 10 different bursaries that we fund for young hockey players that can't afford their fees, and we give money to lots of different organizations. We always give money to Stars Air Ambulance, who was very crucial on April 6th, 2018. Saved a few of the boys' lives. Unfortunately, Evans wasn't one of those, but Stars is a cause that we give money to all the time. So thank you for including Evans Trust in your charitable endeavors today. I just thought I'd start by kind of giving a breakdown of that day. It has been almost 8 years. And of course, in Saskatchewan, it was big news, and it was big news across the country. And I know we've got people from coast to coast here, and some of the details maybe don't reach everybody. But in an effort to open up the discussion and give everybody some common ground before Earl and I start our chat, I just thought I'd kind of talk about that day. Evan was 18 years old and started his first season with the Broncos, and they had a great year. They're in the playoffs that year. They're down 2-1 and heading up to Nipawin for Game 5. They're down 3-1, heading up to Nipawin for Game 5. On a bus, they went through Tisdale, headed north on, I forget the specific highway numbers, but heading north. And I was about an hour behind the bus. My friend Cal Hobbs and I were driving up. His son was a goaltender for the Nipawin Hawks, and we're driving up together. And we're about an hour behind the bus, and we made a left turn. We were coming through Melfort, made a left turn up through Gronlid, and we are going to go around that way. And all of a sudden, 3 ambulances go flying by us on the left-hand side, and Stars goes flying overhead. And I'm thinking, God, that can't be good. There's only a few vehicles that can elicit that kind of response from emergency services. And come around the corner, and we pull up to the crash site, and there's a barrier there, and the authorities stop us, and there's 6 families lined up at this barrier, and you can see the front of the bus is ripped off, and there's carnage everywhere. There's lights flashing everywhere, and the front of the bus is gone. And I knew where my son would have been. He was a rookie on that team, and I knew he roughly would have been sitting at the front of the bus. And of course, you're trying to get there, and they won't let you, and it's everything you want to do to get there to help, and the authorities wouldn't let us, so they took us all to a church in Nipawin, and we waited and waited and waited. And at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, they took the families into a back room, and the RCMP came in and said, we don't know how to do this. We don't know, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to read off a list of players' names that we know are in the hospital. And if your son's name's not read out, that means he's still at the crash site. So they read out the names, and my son Evan's name wasn't one of them. And he passed. Unfortunately for Evan, he was standing at the time of the accident, and now we know. Coming up to an intersection, and a commercial truck carrier was coming at a 90-degree angle with multiple stop signs. Blew through all of them. Blew through all the stop signs right in front of the path of the bus. Bus T-boned the semi. I think everybody's seen the pictures of what happened after that. But my son Evan was standing, and he would have flew forward and probably hit the semi and suffered multiple skull fractures on the right side of his body, of his head. Every other bone in his body was intact. We actually found his cell phone later, and there wasn't a scratch on his cell phone, but his skull was fractured. He died at the scene. Dealt with the aftermath of that the next few weeks. In July of 2018, Jaskrat Singh Sidhu was charged with multiple counts, dangerous driving causing death, dangerous driving, criminal negligence causing bodily harm. He pled guilty. Saved us a trial. Pled guilty to every charge. So we didn't have to go have a trial. But the next big event was March of 2019. They had a victim impact and sentencing hearing in Melfort, and Mr. Sidhu pled guilty there. All the families had a chance to give their victim impact statements, and so we did. And at that hearing, eventually, Mr. Sidhu was charged with, or he was sentenced to 8 years in jail, which he served about 2.5, 3 of those, and now he's out, living in Calgary still. He is supposed to be expedited or sent back home. He has one appeal left to the federal government, but that's where we're at right now, and that can lead into the next part of the conversation.
So you and I have spent some time talking together, and you had mentioned that you were willing to talk to Mr. Sidhu.
Yeah, right in the immediate aftermath of the accident, it became pretty clear. Some people were prepared to talk to the media, some people weren't, and for whatever reason, I was, and I said right from the start that if I had the opportunity to, I would love to. Like I needed to know. You know, he was responsible for my son's death. And over the course of that summer and in the next few hearings, every time I was in public, I said I'd like the opportunity to meet him. And at the victim impact statements, after halfway through the first day, they took a break, and Mr. Sidhu's cousin came up and tapped me on the knee and said, Jaskrat would like to talk to you. So I said, yeah, absolutely. So we took off and we went into a back room, and I walked through the door first, and a few seconds later, Mr. Sidhu walked through the door, and by the time I turned around, he was down on his knees, crying, and he grabbed both my hands and wept like a baby into my hands. And I picked him up and I hugged him, and he cried into the corner of my golf shirt for a while, and you know, we separated, and I just looked at him and I said, what happened? He goes, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's all he said. And we talked for a little while after, and at the end of it, I gave his cousin my cell phone number and said, if you ever need anything, here's my number.
Amazing. So, do you feel he was qualified to be driving that truck that day?
No. A few times already today, folks have used the word professional, and how we all want to get to that level where we see all the drivers as professional in their endeavors, and he was not. He wasn't even close. He was an amateur at best. I think he was taken advantage of by a bad carrier. I don't even know if melt was a thing in Alberta at the time, but he had the minimum level training possible. This was his first full solo trip outside of Alberta. He was sent to Saskatoon. He spent the night before in Saskatoon, got lost on his way to pick up the load a couple times, showed up to get the load late, couldn't back up the trailer to get that loaded. The guys in the yard had to do it for him. As he was leaving, he asked the guys the best way to get back on time because he was running behind. How do I get back to where I need to? The guys in the yard actually said, as he was pulling away, that guy's going to hurt somebody. And he was lost. He was scared. He was running behind. And I believe his boss was in his ear telling him, you better get his ass in gear because he's running behind. He's costing him money. And blew through the stop sign. Didn't even touch the brakes.
I've spoken with you and we talk about that, and somehow you've found forgiveness for him.
Yeah. Very quickly, our family saw that it was not his intention. His intention was not to blow through a stop sign and kill 16 people and injure 13 others. That was not his intention. If it was intent, it would have been a much more difficult conversation. But his life was destroyed. He will never be the same man. I said in that meeting where there was two broken men there, I'd lost my son and he'd lost his life. Like his life was forever changed. And to this day, I harbor way harsher feelings for his employer than I do for him. His employer put him in a position to fail. He set him up to fail, sent him out into the world, hoping for a better outcome that happened. But everything that could have possibly went wrong. And it was very easy for me to forgive him because it was the only way for me to move forward, to be a father to the daughter that I have left, to be able to not have...
Oh, wasn't that a great panel discussion that they had, man? They had so many people on there. It was a standing ovation, not only when he entered, but also when they finished, for sure. Hey, you know what? Before we get into the interview I had with Scott, let me tell you a little bit about Ontario Truck Driving School. When we're looking at training in the Ontario area here, we look to Ontario Truck Driving School. They're one of the premium schools here in Ontario. They've been doing things right since 1978. I can tell you, my friends, that is what you want to go for a school. You want a school with a good reputation, you want a school that's got a good track record, and you want a school that's got professional trainers. Ontario Truck Driving School has that all across their locations in Ontario, Canada. 9 locations throughout the province. Where do you find out more? Go to otds.com. That's where you want to go. All right, so let's get into the second part of this. I had a chance to interview Scott about his experience. We talked a little bit about the driver and the accident, and here's what he had to say. Enjoy. All right, I'm here with Scott. So your son. Sorry for your loss, but your son. Amazing presentation you did this morning. I don't know if it was a speech. I don't think it was, but it was a presentation. I was really interested to know what your thoughts are the trucking industry, maybe before and after.
Yeah, I never really paid much attention to it before.
Right.
But unfortunately, as a result of the accident, we got thrown right into the middle of it. And it became national news. And I wanted to know everything I could about it, about the accident, what led up to it, and how such a thing could happen. And of course, in the 7 or 8 years that have passed, I've gotten to know a lot more about it, a lot more about the training part of it, the employer part of it, the oversight part of it. And like the other Mike said today, you know, it's unfortunately still a case of whack-a-mole. It's one problem pops up, you put it down. Another problem pops up, you put it down. But, you know, everybody that's here this weekend is trying to create a better situation.
Yes.
And I think they're heading the right way. I think the Red Seal certification is a good thing. I think it sets a national standard that everybody has to aspire to get that. So, you know, I think there is movement forward. However, there's still a lot of work to do. And it is an imperfect system. And we can always aim for perfection, and at least I think it's starting to head in that direction.
Right. I know when it came out, I'm from Ontario. We saw the news clipping. We've been following your story very closely in Ontario as well, and I'm not sure. I'm so glad that you gave remorse to the driver that did it. I know he didn't mean to do that, but I mean, you have every right to be angry if you want to be. But I thought they really should be using him to go and talk to people as part of his sentence, to go to talk to all these training schools and say, here's what I did wrong, or here's what I look. What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
what he should be doing, I guess.
I've actually had that conversation with other people that, you know, would I be willing to sit with him on a stage and talk about it? And yeah, I would. Because I do think that, you know, there's a responsibility on his part and quite honestly the employer's part to talk about where the system failed, how it went bad. But clearly it was a bad employer that put him in that position. And, you know, unfortunately I think Mr. City is going to be deported as a result of the sentence and all that stuff. So that wouldn't be an option for him. But I kind of thought it would have made sense at the time too to stand up in front of people and be accountable. He always has been accountable. He wore it right from the start. He declared guilty. He accepted his guilty plea. But I think there would have been some value into trying to make the world a better place.
So the community of Humboldt. Do you live in Humboldt?
No, I'm from Saskatoon.
Oh, okay. So what's the communities? What are they doing? I know they're keeping it alive through things we see in the media and stuff, but in the trucking industry, what are their thoughts? They can't all be like you. I know there's some that are not.
Yeah, it's a interesting situation. I've said the scope of the tragedy has been a blessing and a curse in a lot of ways. A blessing in a sense that we got to go through it with other people. A lot of people going through the exact same thing. But on the other side, you got 29 families going through it, and nobody reacts the same in the same situation. Everybody reacts differently. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. It's just everybody has their own way. And this has been the path that we've chosen. But, I mean, there's no blue book for dealing with grief. And everybody has a different reaction, and I respect every one of those reactions to it. But there's certainly been a wide range of reaction and still a different path for everybody going through it, for sure.
Have you been doing a lot of these kind of presentations at different functions? I'm not familiar with all the stuff going on in Alberta, but is this a kind of an invite only, or is this part of your thing to say, I'm going to make sure that this industry gets fixed?
I haven't done a lot of it in recent years. I just recently met Earl Dreger, who's one of the founding members here, and he gave me the opportunity to come speak. And I've always said I will gladly speak about my son, about everything that happened, and then if I can make the world 1% better and 1% safer, I absolutely will. It's not something that I actively seek out, but if the opportunity comes to me, for sure, I'll be a part of any speaking arrangement that I get to talk about Evan, for sure.
Well, there was a tear at the camera eye this morning, so thank you so much, Scott, for what you're doing and all the things you're doing, and I really appreciate you taking the time, and your message will live on. I can guarantee you that. Great job.
By far my favorite station. You're the best. Oh, yeah. I love you guys.
Thanks for listening.
Be sure to share the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
Oh, there you go. Thanks very much for listening. Hey, wasn't that an awesome conversation and panel discussion with Scott Thomas, father of one of the sons killed in the Humboldt truck bus accident at PTAC, Canada's first annual conference. Hey, if you want to learn more about PTAC, they're the alliance that is getting all of the training kind of standardized. They're working to make truck driving Red Seal, all of that kind of stuff. Learn all about them at ptac.ca. That's PTAC with 2 T's, PTTAC.ca. Make sure you tell them we sent you. Look for more content on their website and also on ours about their annual conference and more events that they're having in the area. And hey, start driving safe out there, my friends. We do not need another Humboldt. Let's fix our industry, get it back to where it should be so that we don't have any more tragedies like that. Big thank you to Scott Thomas for being on the show today, and we will catch you later, my friends. Be good out there. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. That should leave it wide open. Hey, why not subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on? We'll catch you next time. See you later.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.